Good evening. Thank you, Michael. And we are back in the WPBS studio, and we are 5 hours away from the new year. And that means people are likely thinking about those New Year's resolutions, one of them being having a more nutritious diet. To help learn a couple more things about nutritious diets, I'm here with Teresa Intorcia. Teresa is a registered dietitian with Samaritan Medical Center. Teresa, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us today.
Thanks for having me.
And I just want to get right into it. And I just want to know, where can people look to start getting into eating more of a nutritious diet and getting started?
I like to refer people to the portion plate. It doesn't pertain to one specific diet. It avoids fad diets, and it focuses on all the food groups that we need in our body throughout the day for energy, for regrowth.
And can you give me some of those specific food groups that people should consider?
Sure. So on the plate is chicken, which is protein. And protein is the building block within our body. Think about it. Our blood dies, our skin dies, everything regenerates. And protein is there for regeneration. Even if you have an injury from a fall on the ice in the winter, we need protein.
And you've also got some blueberries and some broccoli on there.
Yeah, so a lot of us forget about fruits and vegetables. And a lot of people tell me I'm weird because I eat them with my lunch and dinner. So try to be weird like me. You need the vegetables, you need the vitamins and minerals. Same with the fruits. Both of these come with fiber. Blueberries are what I call a nutritious carbohydrate. And all non-starchy and starchy vegetables are nutritious, coming with vitamins, minerals, and fiber.
And I know there are some people that are also curious about something like superfoods. Could you go into a little bit of detail about those?
So superfoods, broccoli and blueberry would be, really all of these foods are superfoods. Anything that comes directly from the plant or the garden or the animal or is fresh milk is going to be a superfood, meaning there aren't, preservatives. There aren't added salts and sugars. They're just natural from the beginning.
And the other thing that really stuck out to me is this large yellow mass that is sitting in front of us. It's sticky, friends at home. What is this?
So this represents 5 pounds of fat.
Ew.
So I see patients all day long, and they'll come in and they'll lose 5 pounds in a month, and that's wonderful. A pound a week is great. Half a pound to a pound a week is great.
And that's a lot.
That represents 5 pounds. So if you lose that in a month, that's really good. But we don't want to lose it overnight. That's too quickly.
So aside from dieting, what steps can people take to lose this much fat?
Well, diet is die with a T. So again, look at the portion plate. You can just Google portionplate.com. There's another example here. And it will lead you to eating from all food groups to get the nutrition that you need. And so to lose the 5 pounds, eating healthy, a little less calories each day. And then I believe you just had an exercise segment. And so including exercise as well to burn the calories and build muscle, because muscle is our powerhouse and keeps our metabolism higher.
And there was another thing we talked about off camera about label reading. Whenever you're looking at your boxes, the foods,
absolutely,
there's always a nutrition facts on the back of that. How can people look at that and be more conscious when looking at their diets?
There are a few things to look at, and right here is the wrapper of a loaf of bread. So in your grain items, I always refer to the list of ingredients. And the first ingredient should be a whole flour. So whole wheat, whole rye, whole pumpernickel. Whole means all 3 parts of the fiber are intact, and you'll get the most vitamin and minerals. It doesn't mean necessarily it's lower in calories. It comes full of vitamins and minerals. So that's one thing that you can read when you're looking at grains. Also, you can look at added sugar. And I forgot my test tube of sugar. But when you see added sugar, this loaf of bread has 0. But let's say we're eating a candy bar. A candy bar may have 24 grams of added sugar. Every 4 grams is a teaspoon. So that means in that little candy bar, there's 6 teaspoons of sugar. But you can look at yogurt that way. You can look at chocolate milk. Just look at your added sugar, and it's better to stay around 4 or 5 per serving.
Now, I also want to ask you, earlier you mentioned fad dieting. Could you go into a little bit about your thoughts on fad dieting or other health trends that we see on places like Instagram or Facebook or TikTok?
Sure. There are so many fad diets. And how you can tell they're a fad diet is they're eliminating food groups. And so if we're talking about some of the very low carbohydrate diets, eliminate fruit. You might be able to have half this amount of vegetable in a day. You wouldn't be able to have milk. So when we're eliminating 3 food groups right here, we are missing a lot of nutrients.
And that milk is especially. I know when they said to me growing up, milk, like you'll have stronger bones if you drink milk. It's true. I grew up drinking milk all the time, and it's a huge calcium booster. You also mentioned, and so now with that food and exercise, it comes with moderation. Is that right?
Absolutely. So we aren't going to be perfect every day. And so if it's your birthday, have the piece of cake, but maybe that day you do a little more exercise, or maybe you shave a few calories from lunch. Just make it a balancing act. And if you're over one day, you're over one day.
Give me your opinion. I always found that when I started to do diets at the beginning of the new year, sometimes it was overwhelming. There were a lot of places that were giving a lot of information. What's something you can tell people to reassure them it's not so overwhelming and there's not all this like noise out there to give that, like, just what can people consider when they look at diets?
Well, there's no magic. So it's step by step, day by day, making small changes. So if your change for the first week of January is to cut from 6 Pepsis to 3 Pepsis, that's a change. And the next week, 2 and 1 and 0, that's a huge change. We don't have to also eat just fish and just vegetables and skip carbs. That's a fad diet. But start making a small change. Maybe you start with exercising once a day. Maybe you start with giving up 1 dessert a day and cut down to give up 2 or go from 2 desserts down to 1 dessert a day. Any small change is going to add up. And that's what we really need to focus on, small changes so that it can become a lifestyle.
And there's one more thing I want to cover. I don't know if you can speak to mindfulness when it comes to having a more nutritious diet and lifestyle. Could you go into that a little bit?
Sure. So mindfulness means, to me, when we're eating a meal, not eating it in front of the TV. You know, just sitting at your table with quiet, with your loved ones, and tasting your food. So when you bite that piece of chicken with barbecue sauce, you know, you can think about, wow, this really tastes good. And be mindful that you're eating and not thinking of, oh, I've got to be at yoga class in 15 minutes, or I've got to get up and wash the dishes and go do some more laundry. So be mindful so that you are aware of what you're eating, enjoy it, and feel nourished when you're done.
Well, Teresa, this has been a wealth of information, and I feel a little called out because that's exactly what I do. I'm eating in front of the TV. I need to get better about that myself going into this new year.
Many people are.
So there's a ton here, but where could people go to learn more information about you or about dieting from you?
Well, you could just Google registered dietitian near me and find the closest registered dietitian. It's our specialty. We have lots of training, and we can set you up an individualized plan.
Well, Teresa, thank you so much for talking with us today and educating us on how people can be more nutritious. Folks at home, if you are looking to start your diet, think about ways you can be more nutritious in the new year. You've got it right here. You know where to go. Teresa, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us today.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.